So we're going to go over a dolphin position that's a little more geared towards expansiveness in the shoulder capsule or range of motion in the shoulder. This is going to build some joint space through load, and the concepts are pretty straightforward, but there's a lot going on, so we'll get into it. I'm going to show it from the front initially, and we're going to go a little wider than shoulder width apart with the elbows, and we're going to have the knees in kind of hip width apart as well. We're going to walk ourselves up into what we typically think about in yoga as a traditional dolphin pose. So in this position, your legs are relatively straight, and we're getting the chest to pull towards the knees and the head to relax. We don't want to crunch the back of the neck. We want it to be fairly chilled out. From this position, you can obviously bend the knees a little if there's discomfort in the back of the legs. But what we want here is the majority of our pressure down through the elbows here, and not to be like this, but to get good overhead shoulder mobility and chest towards knees, getting some of that thoracic extension through here. You want to have a flat mid back. You don't want to be rounded or funny looking through there. So that's the general setup for the dolphin position. The second thing we're going to go over is the elbows as they're in the ground, supporting your weight. You want to imagine them pushing through the ground and wide. So you want to imagine that the arms are going to do that, and you want to imagine the arms are going to do this and go through the floor. So you're not going to actually allow them to move, but you're building traction. You want to roll your elbow bones over the skin like that. So I'm driving wide and out like a V. And I'm also using my feet to push away as my elbows push away at the same time. So long ways, I'm trying to spread the floor. And then narrow wise, I'm trying to go wide and forward and through the ground. So this is kind of an odd concept, but it's taking up real estate in minute ways without actually moving your placement on the mat. So again, we're going to go here, up. And what you want to do is imagine your hip points, my left and right hip, are as far away from my elbows as possible. And I'm making that space longer and longer. I don't want to look like this, this, this. I want to have lots of space and length. I'm as long as possible from elbows to hips, both sides. I'm as long as possible from armpit to front pocket, both sides, not collapsed on either side or shifted in the rib cage. I'm growing through my hips as far and wide as possible. And then again, I'm pushing into the floor and out and feet away from the elbows. Now, how does this help with shoulder mobility? It builds space in the shoulder joint, evens us out. So when I go up into this position, I've got more space in the shoulder. That growth into the floor, that resistance that we're creating through traction is going to really open up the shoulders. So once you've done a few holds, and I would probably do initially just start with some taps with the traction bits. Breathing. And then I would do some holds. You can also adjust how close you are with the elbows, how far away from the feet you are with the elbows. You can play around with that a little bit, explore. Every exhale, my elbows get further away from my hips. I get longer through the trunk, and I'm rested through the neck. Spread the floor. Push everything away without letting it move. And again, you can get a lot of tension out of that movement and really fry yourself. You want to feel more work in the arms, less in the upper traps. If you're feeling your upper traps, we might be shrinking through this area. We want to be long, like a turtle out of a shell. So load that with reps and holds, and then the graduation movement for more shoulder mobility in this position, and I'll show this from the front as well, would be here, finding your lockout, thoracic extension, relaxed neck, and then we try to touch without letting the elbow move. If this is too much pressure on the elbow, add some padding or put some more weight in the legs. When I say that, I mean if this is too much initially, then we would make it a little easier by dropping the knees. And there's no reason you can't do this motion with low knees. So you can still do the holds and the reps. And if getting to this position's a little tight at first, definitely drop the knees to make it a little easier. So explore those motions and see if your shoulder mobility increases or just the fluidity of the joint in different ranges of motion. It's a great way to load the shoulder to build more space. Let us know down in the comments if this was helpful or if you have any questions. We'll reach back out to any questions down below. And if you guys want to do any remote work, hit us up at Anthroproach on Instagram in the DMs.